Thanks, Justin, and welcome everyone today. As always, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us for what we hope to be an informative and useful webinar in growing your business. Today's presentation is actually a continuation of the electronic client building webinar I did during our last eSummit. During that presentation, I had discussed the importance of websites and other electronic tools such as email marketing, how they're used, and why it's nearly imperative to utilize them at least to some degree in today's business environment. Hopefully, since my last webinar, you've considered or have already proceeded with some of those e-tools. In our efforts to keep pace with changes in technology, we have also upgraded and added to our previous offerings, which I'm going to go over today. So in the next approximately 45 minutes, I'm going to show you what I consider the four main components to begin creating an effective online presence and give you real-time demos of how those tools actually work so you're a little more comfortable in getting started. From really some of my discussions over the last 6 to 9 months after I did the eSummit, after speaking with agents, I realized that many of you would either like to begin bringing your business online, or maybe you've done so, but are a little bit unsure of how to make it more effective. I certainly understand that using new technology tools or building a website, things like that can be a little bit intimidating. Hopefully what you'll see from today is that without too much agony, you can make a lot of these tools work for you. And I think in our outline of our presentation, we had mentioned social media. I'm really only going to spend a brief moment on that at the end of the presentation. And what we'll probably do is a follow-up webinar that goes into that in a little more depth. And the reason is that there's quite a bit of content in this one, and I'd like to lose as few people as possible during the presentation. So, as I talked about in the last webinar, we obviously know how important it is to be online in what is a very technology-driven world today. If you're not already there, I think you might be missing some opportunities to attract new clients and also to retain your existing clients. If we look at the critical components of your online business, we know that a website is probably at the top of that list. What I'm going to do today is look a little bit more deeply at what is new to us in the last 6 to 9 months. We've partnered with another website hosting vendor. The foundation of that provider and their systems is really tailored specifically to the insurance and the financial industry. It's got well over 1,000 pages of pre-built content, articles, calculators, pretty much anything that you need, but it's also pretty much unlimited in its flexibility to create exactly what you want to really make your site unique and stand out. Next, obviously, once you've got a site, you need to get that website noticed, and I think there are several ways to do so. I'm going to show you how to make certain your site and all the content is found and indexed by the search engines, so your URL or website listing shows up higher in search results when people are trying to find something on the internet related to your business. Then I'm going to show you how to use 2 different email marketing campaign tools to routinely stay in touch with your clients on a regular basis. I think that's very important, and it also helps you solidify new relationships. And then, as I mentioned, the social media, we're just going to spend a minute on. I'll just talk real quickly about Facebook and Twitter, and then at some point down the road, we'll do a follow-up session to that. So, from the last webinar I did, one of the main questions we asked was, why do I even need a website? Well, I think the first thing is it's going to lend credibility to your business. It's going to establish presence. I was speaking with an agent this morning who is going to be on the call, and he basically said it just how I view it, and that is that he knows he needs to do it because it legitimizes his business. And oftentimes, people, that's the first thing someone does. If they don't know who you are, they want to look you up on the internet and see what you're all about. I think once you've established your presence, your site needs to provide or is going to provide several things. It's going to tell your visitors who you are and what you can do for them. It's going to tell you what separates you from your competition. And it's also going to show your business, hopefully, as a very professional organization. You're going to tell them what products and services you offer. and hopefully give them also a very good reason to do business with you. And then you're also going to be able to provide some industry-related information, financial tools, articles, white papers, calculators, all sorts of things that maybe keep them interested and retained for a period of time. So then we know that everyone wants to be able to retain their clients. And I certainly believe, obviously, a good personal relationship with your clients is important. But I think a website is a critical piece, not only in marketing your business, but it's also a relationship builder. And the reason I say that is because it can, while you're not there, provide access to information 24 hours a day. And I think what you really want to achieve as the independent agent or advisor is to make yourself the first reference when an existing client thinks of anything related to insurance or investments. You want to be able to provide enough information that they'll keep coming back to your site frequently. And if you don't have that capability, there really is a chance that they're going to find someone else who does. Not guaranteed, but there's a chance. So don't give them that chance or any reason to begin looking elsewhere. And I think all of that is really part of retaining your clients. And I would say, consider yourself and your online business as that continual valuable resource beyond the point of sale or beyond closing the sale. And, you're going to be able to provide that up-to-date information via your site. Hopefully you've made it easy to use and navigate, and you can keep them coming back again and again. So make yourself their default resource for anything insurance or financial related. Also, capturing leads. We know how important client retention is, but you can also use your website in conjunction with some other marketing tools to build your business by capturing new leads. I would say that it would become, website can also be considered your middleman in much of your advertising and marketing that you do. So if you're to think about adding your new or existing website URL to your flyers or your email, your mailers, your business cards, or any other type of advertising, then really a prospective client can do some research online prior to making a phone call, really just to see how professional of an organization you have. And if you think about it, you probably do the same thing. I know I do. Most people do research on the internet, and that's kind of the first place I look to see just how legitimate somebody is. And also, it can be said that I think in that first 10 seconds of hitting someone's website, on their homepage, that's kind of a defining moment. 5 to 10 seconds is sometimes all it takes to determine if it's worth staying or if you just move on from there. So again, I think the professional look and feel is very important. And then you also want to use your website to give you an additional opportunity in other product lines. So maybe you're an expert in annuities and long-term care, but wouldn't it be nice to have an additional possible revenue stream by maybe adding a term quote engine to your site? So those are all important things. I think what we've heard time and time again is the number one issue in growing your business is prospecting. That's what we hear. That's what we see in all the surveys. So I would say you need to provide as many different avenues as possible for new prospects to find you. And that's really a great reason to be on the internet. So what I'm going to do next, and we didn't do this during the e-summit, is I'm actually going to show you this time because I think people become more comfortable when they can actually see how it works. So in this situation, I'm going to go ahead and do a demo of how you would create a website. And you can find that if you go through our website. Hopefully everyone can see my screen here, bringing up the financial brokerage site. There are a couple ways to get to it. You can either go through the sales tools and training menu, and under sales tools, website hosting, or down here at the bottom in our carousel, you've got website hosting design. Now, when I did the webinar last year, we had basically 3 different options. I think what's going to end up happening is option 1 and option 3 are probably going to go away. So what you'll look at here is option 2. And I'm just going to show you how easy it is to go ahead and just create at least the foundation of your website. So I just click that Explore Features and Sign Up link. It takes me here to the agent quote page. That's our hosting partner. You can see down here, if you went directly to them, it's a little bit more. Coming through us, you'll actually have a little bit of a discount. So for about $34 a month, you can have your own website. To actually go ahead and build that site, it's as simple as just clicking this link, Get Started Here. Now, what they've got is, I don't know how many, it's probably 70 or so different templates. You can choose the category that best fits you. You can do all, life, you can see them here. So I'm just going to pick financial. And you can see as you hover over these sites, you can see the templates. So I'm just going to pick this one right here. So this is kind of what my website would look like out of the box. And I'm just going to go ahead and choose that one. So what will happen is the foundation, the structure of, if you can see across the top here, the menu items, that's going to remain the same. There's certain sections that contain information that the sections will be there, but you can change those to whatever you want them to be. I'm going to go ahead and pick Use This Design. Now what you do is you're going to actually create your own domain name. And as descriptive a domain as that can be would probably be helpful. I know that we had trouble with that because we have fb-inc.com, and a lot of people wouldn't search for that or look for that on their own. So we've secured another domain name, Brokerage, or financial-brokerage.com, and the reason we didn't get it without the dash is because someone already took it. So I'm just going to pick one that I probably know is not there as of this date. You hit check availability, you can see that it's available. I'm just going to type in a few things here, put in spell my name wrong. It's really quite simple. And then once you get down, you have a couple more things I have to fill out. I'll just pick something there. You make up your login. And then down at the bottom, you're going to choose the sections that you initially want to appear on your site. So I'm going to pick annuities. I'm going to pick business, calculators. We'll do financial, life, and I'll leave it at that. So then all I have to do is hit create your site. Hopefully. And there. Now what I have is the confirmation that my site is basically ready to go in that exact format that we saw in the template. So it tells me I have a 14-day trial site that's live on the internet at this address. It also shows me how I can get to the admin tool to actually manage and change my site. Now, what you'll notice is that with this tool, you did not have to put in any payment information. You didn't have to really tell them a whole lot about yourself. It will just simply expire in 14 days. So what I've told some people that call in is, hey, just go out and create it. It doesn't cost you anything. In fact, you're not on the hook for anything at any point. Create the site, play around with the tools, see if you really like it. If you do, that's great. Go ahead and proceed. And then what you would actually do when you get in there is you register your site. That makes your domain live at www. Your domain the domain name that you had chosen. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you the demo site that I had created. And I'm not going to use the one I just made because I've actually kind of spent some time with this one. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Get my arrow keys to work. Go ahead and sign in here. Now what I come into here, this is my desktop. I'm not going to talk really about the main page here. What I'm going to spend most of the time in would be the website itself. So they have some additional features that you can explore. You have a calendar here. You can add links to your desktop. This is all for you personally. Now, when we want to manage our website and actually make changes to it, we come up here to the website link or tab at the top. So when I went through and I created this site, just as I showed you how to make that new one, these are the sections that I picked. So these are all the sections that are available for me to modify. Right now, I'm just going to click Home Page. This is what my home page looks like. Right now, it's pretty boring, I suppose. It's just the default standard information that was in there when I built it. And what we see here at the top, this is our site header. This is the menu navigation, just kind of a default image that was added to my site when it was built. And then a couple other sections down here with some links under the financial planning and estate planning sections. And that's just what I happened to choose when I built my site. And then down here, this is kind of the main body of your web page. So the nice part is you can change any of this information. So I can come in here and I can go down to my main body. And obviously, you probably don't want it to say welcome ... to our website. That's just the default text that they've put in. So I'm going to click Edit, and I'm going to, you can see there's the image that's in there. You can change that image. You can change that image actually to anything you like. They have I'll show you the library of the images here in a moment. But I can come down here, and to modify your site, it's just like Microsoft Word. You can add bullets. You can change the fonts, bold. You can build tables. You can add other links right here to outside resources. You can link to other areas within your website itself. So for this example, I'm just going to put some bullets out here. And it says, we offer high quality insurance and financial products and services. And we're just going to say, something like estate planning and things that we specialize in. Something like that. So you can see how simple that is. If I wanted to make this a link, I come up here and I hit the link button. I can put the URL that I want in there and send it directly to that. So there's a great deal of flexibility in what you can do and what you can modify. And as I said, other than the base structure of how this page is laid out, within it, you can modify anything that you want. So likewise, I could, if I wanted to, on the right-hand side of the page, I've got some empty space here. Over here on the right side, I've got what's called a widget library. And that basically allows me to drag predefined pieces of, I guess, a content placeholder onto my page. So in this situation, I'm going to take this, which is a list of links, and you can see that little black bar up here. That's just where it's going to drop it. So I'm going to drop it right there on my page. I'm going to click Add New Item, and I'm going to, well, I'm just going to make a link to Yahoo Finance. And I'm going to create a link. And it'll take just a few seconds here for the list to come up, and I'll show you why, because it's actually going out and gathering a bunch of information. So what I have the capability to do now is to link to any page within my site. And it's extremely extensive. These are all the things that are pre-built when I created my site. These are all the pages that are already there. So I could go through here and I could choose to link to anything that I want within my existing site. Or I could go to my files. These are files that I have, maybe they're PDFs or articles that I've found that and I can upload them to my site and then choose them as a destination for a link. In this situation, I'm going to do web address because I'm going to link out to Yahoo Finance. So I'm going to do HTTP and then finance.yahoo.com. Now, what I want it to do is I want it to open up in a new window, because if I open it in the existing window, it's going to take my browser page to Yahoo, and the user isn't necessarily going to know how to get back except putting my URL back in. So I'm going to open it in a new window. I'm going to hit OK. I apply it. I save it. Now you can see I've got Yahoo Finance over here. Well, it's kind of plain and boring over there, so I'm just going to drag a heading on, and I'm going to label it. You can choose the size of the heading, just the font size. But I'm just going to call it financial resources. So additional resources out there. So now what you can see is just put a nice heading in there. So now if I preview that in the browser, you can instantly see the changes that you've made. So right here, I see financial resources in Yahoo Finance. So if I click it, hopefully it will open a new window, and it did. So now you can see it's taken the user to the Yahoo Finance page. So I know that in some cases with one of the previous hosting providers we had, there were certain things you could do, but a lot of things you couldn't do. So you couldn't stray too much from the foundation of the site itself. Now with this one, you really are pretty much unlimited in anything and everything that you want to do. Now, I can also manage pages. So as I showed you, I had all those pages that were already built for me. I can create a brand new page if I want to. I can create as many as I want to. So I'm going to do one called Web Resources. And I'll just call it Web Resources. And I'm not going to talk about the page meta tags at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and create that page. Hopefully it will work. Oh, I didn't pick. You have to select the section or the module that you want that page placed within. So in this case, I'm just going to put it under General. So there's a General category. I'm going to create the page. Page was created successfully. Now here's my blank page. So I can do whatever I want with this page. I can drag a paragraph with a centered image or offset images onto it. Let me just put this right here. And now I can type something like, welcome to our additional web resources, ... I can add links, I can add pictures, I can pretty much put whatever I want in here. Select an image. So in this case, I'm going to go out and select an image. And they've got, let's see how many they've got, a bunch. They've got 1,349, I would say, very professional looking images that you can choose from to put on your web page. The other thing you can do is if you've got your own, you can go ahead and add those in just by uploading the image, and then it will be available to you for later use. So in this situation, I'm just going to pick that one right there. Doesn't really maybe apply, but, and I'm going to hit save. So as you can see, what I did was really quickly, and that image is actually too large, but I could pick a different one that's not as wide. Would look a little bit better on there. So that gives you an idea of how flexible it is. You can make any page with anything you want. You can include any HTML you want on the page. So if you know about that and you had maybe someone write some HTML code for you, you could embed it within your own pages. And so I'm going to go back to Manage Pages. I'm going to go back to my home page. And I have my standard menu that was there when the site was built. I'm going to edit that. Now here you can see these are the actual menu items. You can also see the submenus underneath each one of those. So I'm going to get out of here for a second. I'm going to preview that in the browser. When I go hover over that, these are those subsections. So if someone just clicks the Life page on my site, this is what's in my Life page currently. Of course, I can go change anything I want in there. I can change the text, descriptions, the links, the images, whatever I want to do. So now I'm going to just edit that menu. So if I edit the menu, I can add another one, and I'm going to call it Web Resources. I'm going to choose a link. It's going to take a second again just to go, because there's a long list of things it can pick from. So I could link this out to any place I want as far as my files or another web address, but what I had done previously was I created that page called Web Resources. So under General, now I have a page that I had created that's called Web Resources, and I just hit OK to that, hit Apply, hit Save, and now you can see on my page I have Web Resources. I'm going to preview that in the browser. Now that's part of my menu. So if I click that, it takes me to that page that I created, which doesn't look very pretty because the image is too big. But it gives you an idea of what you can do, what's possible within this tool. Likewise, it's just as simple to go out here, like under the financial planning section, and maybe I want to add a new article. So I'm going to hit Add New Item, and I'm going to just call it Indexed UL, a Roth alternative, and I'm going to hit Create Link. Now we're waiting for that same window to pop up, but this time I'm going to choose My Files. I'm going to say Open Link in a new window, because when they click that link, I don't want it to just take me out of my website. I'm going to select a file that's going to go to my computer or wherever you have your file stored. I have an INGUL PDF out there. I'm going to open that. You can see right here that it's uploading a new file. I'm going to hit OK, apply that, and save it. Now I have indexed UL, a Roth alternative. Now I have to go back and change my text color. But if I preview that in the browser, it didn't make it a link. That's why. Let me see what I did here. I edit that. I think it just left the link off. Let me see if I can correct it real quick. If not, we'll just move on. I think you get the idea of how that would actually work. So I'm going to go back to my files, select it. I think it was still uploading it is what it was doing when I closed it. So yeah, there it is. I missed there it goes. So now it's uploading. It's finished. Hit apply, save. That's better. So now if I preview in the browser, I've got index UL or Roth alternative. So I just added an article to my page. When I click it, it opens it in a new window. And there's my PDF. So you can see how really simple that is. And sometimes it's just a matter of actually getting in and using the tool to become comfortable with it. It's actually not that difficult. The good part is, for any questions that you have, you can contact them or you can contact us, because myself and Keith Schuler can certainly help you with any of this. Now, I'll show you some of the other features. They have a section called Market Now. It really just has some additional content in it, but they've got some company-specific, client-approved or client-facing approved pieces. And I just look at, let's say, Genworth. Now, they don't have all that many, but they're continually adding them. The other thing is, as I showed you there, you can always add your own PDFs or Word documents or whatever else you want. This is just kind of a quick step, I guess, to get you started. So I'll just pick the Secure Living series. There's the what the image or the banner looks like. And you can see down here, if I click Add Product, now it says this product has been added to your site. So it becomes an available piece for me to link to within my other pages. Now if I add banner, it will actually add a banner to my home page. So if I go back to my page and I look at my home page, you can see that it added a banner here. So I could obviously then put a heading on top of that and label it, special interest products or whatever I want to call it. So if I preview that in the browser, now I can click your clients will see this. They click that link. They can actually get the full brochure by clicking Consumer Brochure. So they actually see the client-approved piece from Genworth. And you really didn't have to go out and locate anything. I guess the only downside is they don't have that many of them out there right now, but you can always, if you're out there on the carrier websites and you find a client-approved piece, you can certainly add it. Another nice feature is if someone's actually interested in what they see there, if they can click Request a Quote. What they do, and I have to show you this because I think it's a pretty powerful tool. It's all just automatically included. So I'm just going to fill out, this from a client perspective. Hey, I want some more information on annuities, or I want an annuity request or annuity quote. So I go down here, I fill out what's necessary. And when I hit Request Annuity Quote, I missed something. Hold on. I didn't put in the code down here. The reason they do that is to make sure that automated programs are not automatically filling out your quote requests. So now as the client, I filled that out. Now I'm waiting for a call back from my agent. So if you were to go back to your desktop where you first logged in, first of all, you will get an email notifying you of a quote request. The second is that under Submitted Forms here on the left-hand side of your desktop, you can see that quote request showed up in your system. And so it maintains that information. I can click that and it'll show me all the details of what was requested. So I think that's a pretty powerful tool to just automatically have built in. You don't actually have to go out and build any of that lead capture stuff on your own. Now, that's pretty good to have a quote like that. But as I mentioned before, what if you're specializing in annuities, long-term care, and maybe you wanted to also offer a term quote engine? Well, this tool automatically has a term quote engine built in for that $34 a month. And I should also mention that the term quote engine, if you already have your own website, you can certainly add the term quote engine to your site. We have two different choices to do that. So if you're interested in that, you can certainly contact me after the webinar. So let's say we want to add a term quote engine to our site. Now I go back to my desktop. If I click on Term Life Apps on the left-hand side, you'll see across the top here, companies, licenses. So if I click companies, these are the companies that are going to show when someone requests a quote, and it'll actually show real-time rates. So you can see I've got most of them selected, and then when I choose licenses, I can actually specify which states I'm licensed in. So I'm going to go down here and pick Nebraska and just put in a number, add state license. Oh, I think I already had, I did. I already had it in there for Nebraska. So I could add another state. So now if I go back to my website, and instead of it just being a plain request a quote from the agent, I can go to the home page, and I could add a link on here. So under Yahoo or under financial resources, I'm going to add a new item. And I'm going to call it get term quote. Create the link. Now what I'll see when I get back to my list, because I've added companies and licenses for myself, when I go in here and I go down to the life section, I can see Term Life Quote Engine. I'm going to select that, hit OK, apply it, save it. Now when I preview that in the browser, here's what your clients are going to see. Get a term quote. Click Get a Term Quote. Now this is actually a rate engine. So I'm just going to go through and choose those options. Get a quote. So this will actually show your client term rates. Now they can do an app request. So if they click app request, down here they're going to fill this information out. So when they do that, that information is going to go back to your desktop. You'll get an email notification, and you'll get the information in your desktop as I had shown you. So, you know, I think that itself right there is a pretty powerful tool, whether you have an existing website or you're building a new one, to have that capability. A lot of times, you know, you'll get people who are just looking for rates, and that's all they're going to do, but there are certainly plenty of places to do that. So you may as well make yourself one of them. Now, I believe adding the term website, this one, to an existing website, I think it's $15 a month. If you host or if you build a new website using this tool, the quote engine is included. Now, real quickly, I'll just go back here, and I'm going to add another section. So maybe now I've become more involved in auto insurance. I can add an auto insurance section. One thing I would like to point out is that, you know, in order to do this, in order to get this website through us with a small discount, we're probably obviously going to require that you are contracted with us and write some business. We don't mind if you have an auto insurance section out there, that's just fine. But, you know, just kind of as a side note. So now you've built your site, you want to know, you know, who's visiting my site and how often. Well, they do have on the left-hand side a statistics tool. It's not very in-depth, it's pretty basic, but it will give you an idea of, you know, during the month of September, how many hits you had, into what sections those, you know, what's important, I guess, what are clients finding important. Now, I'll show you in just a little while a very extensive tool that really can do some great analytics for you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back, hopefully. we're going to go back to the rest of the presentation here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about search engines and search engine optimization, or SEO. So you've built your great professional-looking website. Everybody wants to come and visit it, but I get asked the question all the time, how do they find my site once I built it? Well, I think there's some rather straightforward methods. One is to just put your URL, now that you've got a website, put your URL in all your email advertising. Put it in your print ads, in your mailers, your business cards, and really the good part is you've got a URL. The second way individuals are going to find you is when they're simply out there searching the internet through Google or Yahoo or whatever it might be. So I'm going to kind of give you an idea of the components of how search engines determine where your listings show in search results. I've talked to several agents lately that have said, well, I've got a site, but no one ever comes to it. Well, take a look at your traditional mailing methods and make sure that you've got your URL on there. Really, the most important aspect of search engines indexing your site properly has simply to do with effective, what's called effective copywriting. And all that means is just writing good content for your site. Well, what's content? That is simply the long, descriptive information, the articles, the white papers, anything that's really meant to inform your visitor of your what you are trying to accomplish, what you offer. So if you look at how that content is relevant, you really need to look at how that content is relevant to your products and your service offering. That's the most important piece. The importance of that content and well-written content, as far as the search engine goes, is that they're going to index all your information, your keywords, which are the like life insurance or financial advisor or things like that. Those are the keywords. It's going to index those. It's going to index your page titles, your headers, the main body of every page, and also the image tags. So if you've got a bunch of images on your site, a search engine has no idea what those are. So you have to attach some words to those images, and I'll show you how to do that. But really, the more relevant that content is to what you actually provide, the more likely a search phrase or a relevant search phrase will find, the more likely it's going to find your site, and the higher in the results your listing is going to show. So someone searching the internet, we know they have a need for a product or service. They don't exactly know who they're looking for, they just know what they're looking for. And typically those listing results are evaluated pretty quickly by the user. I'm sure you do it, I definitely do it. You see that summary, that real brief summary in the link. Well, where does that summary come from? The summary comes from the content in your site, and many times it comes from the site header text, and I'll show you how to adjust that and make it a little bit more meaningful. So when they see the search results, they probably ask the question, or the question is then, is it apparent that their needs can be met by your offering in the listing? If they see some, all it says is contact information or whatever that might be, they're going to skip it. So it needs to be fairly descriptive. And then really, in that summary, hopefully they've answered that question, yes, your offering can help them. Then once they get to your site, the question is, are they still in the right place? So good content is very important once they've determined to proceed to your site. And I would say that your site, your products, and your services really might be what they're looking for, but they might not even know it if you haven't relayed that message quickly and very concisely on the home page. You have to stimulate their interest to keep looking. If you don't, you're almost certain to lose them, probably right at that, as soon as they hit your page. So now you've got them interested. Well, you did a good job with your home page and you've got descriptive information about what you offer. So what you need to do next is be able to persuade them to actually do something, and that is going to occur through what's called copy. That's what's going to persuade them to take the next step toward a product purchase or using a service. In my opinion, I would consider a quote engine placed on your site to be copy, because that could be the trigger that persuades someone to take some action. You're going to have to think about what on your site is going to cause a prospective client to actually take action to move forward with contacting you or requesting some form of contact. And maybe that's a banner ad on your homepage that says lower term rates, or for certain niches, or something very similar. We understand, of course, now how well-written content, how important that is, and what it's going to take to get noticed in the search results. and also how you keep an individual's attention and how you get them to take some action. I just say there's really no set formula, and that's what we found here. So it does take some experimentation with your site design and your content to see some positive results. And really after that, you've got to pay close attention to those results. And I'll show you again some tools that you can use to handle that. So how do you optimize your site for the search engine? Well, it's really through, that's what SEO is. And really that and good content go hand in hand. The best way to optimize your site is to write good content. If you look down here at the keywords, those are, as I mentioned, the key phrases that describe what you do or what you offer. Page titles, that's important to have descriptive page titles, a site header that says more about what you do than just the name of your company. And then the main body, that could be the main body on every page that you have that has some useful information. And then images, as I mentioned, you need to have some description in your image to tell the search engines what it's about. And then links from other sites, that's also important because the more times your link is found on other sites, the more relevant the search engines consider you. So what we've looked at there, it has to do mainly with natural or what we call organic search. It's just simply based on the search engine's indexing of your content and just to determine where your site shows in the results. Now, we'll take another way to get noticed, and that is really what we just call pay to play. It's pay for placement. And at Financial Brokerage, we actually use that. We use Google AdWords, and it's a pay for placement type of method. Google is the biggest search engine. They take about 65% of all the searches done on the internet. But basically what you do is you write advertisements and specify keywords and search phrases that you'd like to target. So it doesn't really matter then if you got listed or picked up in the regular search results. You're actually telling the search engine, hey, this is where I'm going to be. I want to be up there. And you're going to pay to do it. So in essence, you're just going to bid for your placement within the listings based on the keywords that the user enters. So, maybe you've come up with an ad for term insurance and you use keywords such as cheap term insurance. Well, you can probably also imagine how many others out there are doing the same thing. So, in fact, you might even be playing against some of the big boys out there like AccuQuote or someone like that. So really your bidding or how much you'll pay on a particular search phrase determines where you place in the listings. So, what if instead, just as an example, you chose some keywords or a phrase, term insurance, high blood pressure. Well, maybe what you've done now is you've maybe limited how many times you're going to show up, but you'll be more relevant. So you'll be in a smaller group of competitors. There are all sorts of ways to get that accomplished. The good news is you can kind of get into paid search for not a whole lot of money. Just a few $100s, you can at least get in there and start testing. That's what we did several years ago. Now it's become a key piece of our marketing. The AdWords tool, one really nice thing, and this is what you have to measure what you're doing, but AdWords will track every single statistic you can imagine. They'll look at all your keywords and search phrases you target. They'll show you how many times you actually, your listing is actually displayed based on keyword or phrase that was entered, and the average ranking in the results, how many click-throughs you had for every keyword. It can even tell you how many conversions you have had for every single dollar spent. In our case, we consider a conversion to be when someone requests contact from the sales manager through a form they complete. So in your case, it might be a conversion could be a prospective client filling out a quote request form. So I guess, to wrap that up, while the unpaid search may work if you have really well-written content and copy, you might find that a good mix of paid and unpaid search will suit you best. The good part is, again, that you can test it and change it as you go along, really to find out what works best for you. Remember that it is very competitive in search and paid search. They both are very competitive. And you're going to find that it's just as important to use your traditional forms of advertising and make sure you get your website URL on there. I think that's a key. So you can see why good copy and good content is important, just the professionalism of your site. You can build a site and you can invest in paid search, but you may not find any measurable results or anything measurable of value. So that's why you have to pay really close attention to the usage of your site and of your advertising. If you're just throwing it out there and seeing what happens, you're probably going to fail at that. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a site. It's just if you're going to go about having people be, if they're going to be finding you through search and paid search, you need to make sure that you're analyzing how that works. You can certainly still have a site, put your URL on all your advertisements, and still get some use out of it though. So what I'm going to do is just take you through a really quick tour here of, there it is. I'm just going to give you a quick example of the Google Analytics tool tied into the advertising piece. So I'm going to go, this is actually one of our campaigns, and I limited the what you can actually see here just for confidentiality reasons. But if I look at, this is the advertising that we're doing just with one of our ad campaigns. And there it goes. Hopefully it's going here. And it's being kind of slow. So what it tells me down here, this is just for a handful of days. But I have an advertisement that I've created. See my mouse pointer here. This is one of the ads that will show up at the top section of Google on the right-hand side because we're paying to be there. So I've used the phrase down here, earn more on your life, annuity, and long-term care disability sales. Now what I've done is I've set up a bunch of keywords or phrases that if people search for those, it's going to match up with my ad, and then it's going to compare that to what other people are bidding to show to determine where I show up in the listing. So I can see that this ad itself, over this short period of time, has been displayed 1,687,000 times. That's a lot of times. And it's been an average position of about between 3 and 4. So in the listings, it's 3rd or 4th in the paid section, which is not too bad. We actually had 593 clicks. So people actually saw that as valuable, clicked it, went through. We've had 7 conversions from that. So, you can look at that. It'll tell you your percentages, how much you've spent. The conversion rate's 1.18, which really isn't too bad. It might not seem like a lot, but it actually is. So it's very important to continually evaluate your advertisements. So what I would do, I'd recommend is, you start out with some keywords or phrases, you build those in, and you see how many times they're showing up, how many times people are clicking them, and how many times you're getting a conversion off of it. If you don't measure it, you're not going to know, and you're going to be throwing money away. Now, what I mentioned before about website usage is really being able to analyze your visitors. So we do that with the analytics tool. And what it requires that you do is you actually take a small piece of code from Google, it'll generate it for you, and you put it in every one of your pages. So from that website management system that I showed you, you would actually go in there and take that piece of code and put it in all the pages you want to keep track of. So what I can show you here is my dashboard, and it just is going to give me an idea of how many visits I've had, how many unique visitors I've had, the number of page views, the average time they spend on the page. It will even go as far as showing me my goals that were completed. And as I mentioned, my goals are when someone searches for us, finds us, comes to our site, and raises their hand and says, hey, I want someone to contact me. So they fill out a form. We've had 54 conversions in the last, just for this one campaign in 1 month. Now, maybe we turn 10 of those into, agents that are then contracted with us and writing business. So, just as a quick overview, that's a good tool that you can use. So you might ask yourself, okay, how do I distinguish my website from all the others built with all the tools I've shown you? Well, I think you have to not just use the foundation, but you've got to build custom content. You have to have some custom images, some custom articles, and I just consider the foundation to be very effective, because it's based in the financial industry, and you can build around it whatever you want. And plus the tools are fairly simple to use. I know we don't have a whole lot of time left here, but I'm going to flip back over. Now, to get people to your site, we know how to do that, search engines, all that stuff. But what about email campaigns and advertising, just to get their attention? It really allows you to stay in front of your clients with regular newsletters or bulletins or whatever it might be. And they might contain information that prompts them to call about a specific product. Or you can send them automated birthday cards, just an automatic notification of an event like policy expiration. And I'm just going to show you real quickly through the website hosting tool. Get back there. You also have the capability, they have a built-in email wizard. So this is actually free to use. I think it allows you to send up to 1,000 email messages a day, which is a pretty nice feature. So if I were to look at, let's say, Client Manager. So I had gone back to my desktop. Sorry, I did that kind of quickly. I went to my back to my Agent Quote desktop. I clicked Email Wizard. In here, I have a Client Manager. I can add as many new clients as I like. One nice thing is it has a few key pieces of information that you can trigger events on, such as gender, birth date, if you know their policy expiration date, which you probably do if you wrote their policy. But all that will play an important role. You can type your clients in individually. You can import a client list from a file. Then what you can do is you can narrow those people down. So I had created one called Term Life Policy Holders. And I had manage members. So I can add, I had one in there. I add that to the group. So now that individual is a member of the Term Life Policy Holders group. So I can schedule emails or direct email campaigns directly to that group. So now if I come back here and do create email, I can choose any email template. They don't have that many, and remember this is a free tool. But it still does give you the capability, without doing a lot of work, to stay in front of your client. I'll just pick newsletter. And you can see this is the kind of the template for the newsletter. You can go in and change all these sections just by hitting the Edit Form button. So you can go create new links. You can change all the text. You can basically do any of the stuff that I had shown you that you could do on the website. So you would create that, and you would send a saved email. So I can choose right here to send it to everyone yes, or I can choose to send to everyone no. If I hit no, I can choose groups. Now I see I had that group called Term Life Policy Holders. I could choose that and then send the email out. What you can also do is schedule emails. So you can do that based on a time, or the date and time. You can do it based on an event. So the events that they have in here are policy date, expiration date, or if a new client is registered in your list here, it'll send an automatic email. So again, you can send to everyone or selected groups. Then you can create that schedule. So if I go back, they've also got one where you could send out a birthday card. You could send out Christmas cards. You can do anything in here, well, anything related to, I guess, what they've got pre-built for you. So that's a very nice tool. I know I probably went a little bit long on the website, just as I believe that to be so important. What I'm going to do now is I'll just say that free tool is a little bit limited in building brand new templates. You pretty much are stuck with what they've got. You can't track messages when people open them or don't open them, and it does not allow for clients to add themselves to your mailing list. So hopefully we've got about 5 minutes left here, and I can squeeze this last piece in. The last piece is an advanced email marketing tool. There is a cost to it, but you can really control those costs. It allows you to do a lot of the same things that I had shown you in that free wizard that's included with your website, but you can track email effectiveness with this one. So you can actually see when people open your email messages, who has, who hasn't. You can see people that have opted in or opted out, and it allows you to really capture a little bit more information on your clients when they're entered into the system. I'll show you how that's done. So I'm going to log in real quick. I should have spent more time on this one. I think we may have to do a follow-up on it at some point. where I went to URL emailmarketing.fb-inc.com. Okay, so that's where you would go, and obviously, this is just an overview. If you guys have questions, certainly give me a call, and I can get you directed to the right places to get you set up if you're interested. So what I'm going to do here is just show you quickly how you can manage a subscriber list and kind of set target campaigns. So if I go in here and look at lists and subscribers, I have a pre-built list. I'm going to actually create a new list, and I'm going to call it newsletter subscribers. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about some of that. So I'm going to create my list. Now I've got a list, an empty list to add new subscribers to. So if I have a list of clients, I can add them one at a time, or I can import them from a list, similar to how the other one worked. One nice thing about this one is I can store extra details on all of my clients in this list. So I'm going to put in birth date, and I'm going to add that as a custom field that I want to keep track of when these clients are added to my list. So maybe I've already got that stored somewhere and I'm going to import it, or I'm going to show you how to do something else that's pretty neat. So I'm going to add that custom field. I'm going to go back. So now I've got my list. For anybody in this list, it's got a custom field with birth date. Now I also have the capability to create what's called an autoresponder. So if people subscribe to my list, and I'll show you how they do that, it will send out a series of drip email messages. So you don't have to actually go handle that yourself. You just set it up. When they subscribe, you can send out a welcome. You can send out a follow-up in 5 days to say, hey, do you have any questions? Give me a call. Really kind of any sequence that you want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a form to my website that allows me to capture new subscribers. So I click that subscribe form. What's going to happen here is it's going to say, hey, what do you want in your form? I'm going to have name, and I'm going to pick date of birth. That was the field that I just added. It's a custom field for me. When I hit this generate the code button, it looks rather complicated, but it's really not. If I take all this information, I'm going to copy it, and it figures my mouse is not doing what I want. There it goes. Try it again. Okay. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back over to my website tool. On my home page, and in the right-hand side, I've got, some empty space here. I'm going to put a heading in that says, subscribe to my newsletter. And maybe it wouldn't say just that, but I put a heading there. Now I'm going to take this HTML piece, and I'm going to drag it on here. It's going to say, hey, what do you want to put in here? I'm going to paste that code in that email tool built for me. I'm going to hit save. Okay, now if I preview it, you can see that I've got a little place on there for people to subscribe. I'm going to do Joe Agent. And I had put birth date on there because I want to know for my mailings how old they are. So I hit subscribe. When that agent subscribes, hopefully it's going to do what I want it to do. Now it's trying to connect here. Now, what has happened, if I go back to my campaign tool and I go look at my list and subscribers under newsletter, guess what? I just got a new subscriber and put in my system. Here it is, Joe Agent at fb-inc.com. I can actually look at that person's details and see they were born, May 19, 1962. I could put in their resident state, what products they're interested in, anything like that, and then I can begin to send targeted campaigns to them. So I know we've just got a few minutes left, and this was a tool that I had talked about in our last seminar that we were looking at adding, and now we've actually got that available, I'll say, to a point. So then what you've done, now you've got a list of subscribers, you can actually create new campaigns and send your newsletters or your bulletins or whatever you want to do. I'm just going to create a new campaign called Test Newsletter. And obviously, the real details of this we would walk through, or later on when you've subscribed to this tool. I hit next. Now it's going to ask me, what do I want to send out? Well, right now, there are a few templates I could choose from. Right, the system actually has about, I don't even know, 200 or 300 of them. But I'm just going to pick one of these templates. Our plan at Financial Brokerage is to build some templates for you that you'd like to see and that you'd like to be able to use. So in this case, I'm going to pick a pre-made template out here. I'm going to hit next. And now I see an editor. Well, you can see that you probably don't want it to be ABC Widgets Corp coming from you. There's a title, a description. This allows you to click edit and change any part of this. So maybe you say something like that. The stock market was up and down this past week. And when I save that, now if I preview, so now you can see exactly, this is going to come from you. You can change this image at the top here. You can change any of this information, but it's a pre-built template that allows you to easily change it to send that out to your clients. Then I define my recipients. I have my list out there, my newsletter subscriber list. I check that box. I hit next. It's that simple. Test and define delivery, and basically I'm done. So now you've what you've done is you've tied a lot of pieces of the puzzle together. You've got search, paid search. You've got your traditional marketing methods with your URL. You've got some email marketing tools that allow you to capture some subscriber information and allow you to stay in front of your clients. And then the last piece that I wanted to talk about today, but obviously we don't have time because we're 5 minutes over, would have been social media. So I'm not actually going to go into that one today. But I think, in summary, what it comes down to is really you need to create as many avenues as possible for your prospective clients to find your business. So through search and paid search, and making sure that your website has relevant content to who you are and what you do. And then you need to continuously market and promote your products and services and your site. And that could be through your traditional means or some of the electronic tools that I showed you. And then, we need to really be able to retain your existing clients through an informative website. You need to stay in front of them with the regular newsletters. And you need to get them to think of you as their only resource for insurance and other financial products. I think that's very important. So with that, if there were any questions, and I think there were some. I've got to try to see what that one says here. I will probably have to get back. It's do you have specific websites you can provide that have calculator tools? Actually, that website itself has hundreds of calculators in it already. So you just have to go out, pick the ones you want, and add them to your site. Another question was, do you have a source for us to use together web-ready insurance? I'm not exactly certain. I'll have to get back to the individual. Oh, I see it. Web-ready insurance company logos, names, or even prepared product links in the formats. I will get back to that person individually. Is the email campaign tool available separately from the website hosting? Yes, it is. That is a separate tool. The cost of that can be very minimal. You can actually spend $15 a month on it and have, I think, a list of up to 500 email addresses that you can send to as many times as you want in a month for $15. The other way to do it is if you're not a regular sender and you send once every 6 months or you don't know when you're going to send, it's, I think, up to 500, it's 1 penny per recipient. So if you send it to 5,000 people, I think it costs you $50. I think there's like a $5 fee in there, so maybe 55. But I think that's all the questions. Again, if you guys have anything else, please get in touch with me. So I'd just like to say thanks to all the participants today. And if you have any questions concerning the webinar, any of the tools offered, please give me a call at 800-397-9999. And we certainly look forward to joining us in the eSummit in October. Have a great day. Thanks.